Hey everyone, my name is Reiki Corden. I'm a map maker at Seeds, and in that capacity, I'm going to share a quick overview of one of the maps in the Seeds ecosystem, which is our knowledge base. Now, this is a perpetual work in progress where the community is free to continually update and evolve this map to best serve our needs. And what I'm offering here is just a quick overview of the current structure, and that structure can be evolved and changed. So if we don't like it in any way, let's continue to update it. But anyway, I'm going to dive right in. So if you go to explore.joinseeds.earth, you're going to start here at the navigational map. So this is going to take you to all the different spaces in the Seeds knowledge base, and I'll get into that next. But the README first is where you land, and this is for anyone who's new to Seeds, or you're not entirely sure what's going on here, or it's not very clear. I highly recommend just reading through the README first. So it introduces the regenerative renaissance. What are we actually doing here? And this is the transition to a regenerative civilization. And how we do that is through introducing new building blocks of civilization, new economic and organization and governance tools for coordinating new types of social systems. And in order to do that effectively, we need to know what is success. What are we actually moving towards? And, regenerative culture explains that a little bit. What is value? What do we find valuable? If we're trying to create value, what does that actually mean? And we explain that a little bit here. And an economy in partnership with Earth. So this is incredibly important. And this is talking about how we build economic and organization tools that align with Gaia and with our natural world. So we talk about what that actually means. We got to use sustainable technology. We can't use technology that's degenerative, right? And our role in Web3, etc. And then also it talks about the timeline and the 3 horizons. Now this is so important to bring our timeline and where we're headed into the 3 horizons model, because it leaves space for exponential change to happen. So sometimes we're focusing on things in Horizon 1 because it's really prevalent for us today, and people who are joining and they really understand what a regenerative civilization looks like, they're talking about Horizon 3, they come in and say, hey, Horizon 1's not really important, Horizon 3 is. Like, yes, they're correct, but both sides are correct because it's a emerging model, and we actually see why here. So you can come into the first horizon. That's everything up until today and including still today. And you can see all the different things that were created during this time, right? Then you have Horizon 2, what's next? What are we currently working on? And Horizon 3. And I highly suggest just going through this, reading a couple things, and it gives you a good idea of what tangibly Seeds is actually working on, what value we're bringing to the world. Because I know that's not necessarily clear for everyone. Coming up next is the communication channels. There's a whole lot of spaces where the members of Seeds are communicating and talking. And this gives you links to all of those places and how you can contribute to them. So for example, the Gitbook, you're already here. And there's links to how to contribute to the Gitbook. So you can come down here to this, brings you to contributing to the Gitbook, and you can get an editor or an invite to become an editor or switch to editor mode if you already won. So if you want to edit this or add any feedback, come here, contributing to the Gitbook, click here. It's going to either give you an invite, or if you already have it, switch you to editing mode. And then let's come back to the README first here. And then you can see in the top right, you can suggest edits. So I can click that, make all the edits I want, and on the bottom it'll say merge. And I can either merge it directly if I have that ability, or do a merge request, which is most likely for everyone here, which then gives a suggestion to people who are holding the creator badge to be able to merge that. So then you can come down to who governs our Gitbook, and you can see the people who are holding the creator badge. Once we launch the Seeds Commons do, the creator badge is actually going to be governed by a badge. So the citizens or whoever's running the Seeds Commons can vote for different badge holders to represent and curate these spaces. And their real role isn't to say what is. Their role is to make things harmonious and coherent. So as edits are coming in, making sure it's using the same language, that it is accurate, and that sort of thing. Okay, so next we're going to get over all of the different spaces in the ecosystem itself, which I'm going to just go back to the navigation menu because this is how you'll get to all those spaces. So again, right when you come to explore.joinseeds.earth, you're going to land on this navigation map. So first is the Seeds ecosystem foundations. This is all the official patterns and guides. This is the real bulk of the value that we're offering the world, is all of the energy and effort and time we've come into creating these shared agreements. This is fantastically important. It's what we're doing here. We're creating a new narrative for a new civilization, and we're slowly building on this. I look at it as cathedral building. People who are building cathedrals, oftentimes the people who started it, they weren't going to see the finished product. Their kids weren't even going to see the finished design, but they were still building it and putting energy and intention and meticulous focus to detail on every part of that construction, and it built something that stood the test of time. And I think that's a really beautiful way to approach what we're doing here, and it's what we've been doing for the last few years. We haven't been focused on market cycles. Instead, we've been focusing on building our foundations, which is what you're going to find here. And there's two major sections here. Citizen governed, which means that citizens have to vote in order to make a change to this space. So that's true for our constitution. Our guide, which is all the different protocols for how Seeds actually operates, all our currencies. So the Seeds working group right now is talking about different types of currencies to introduce to the Seeds ecosystem. Awesome. Changes to that require a vote from the citizens, and we can add new currencies. Next is brand and logos. So how are we presenting ourselves to the world? What does it look like? How are we communicating in a most general sense? Or foundational sense is also governed by the citizens. So those are the four spaces that require a vote from the citizens in order to change anything. And it's the only spaces that require a vote. So we're not, overburdening ourselves there. Next is badge governed. So this means this space is only to be changed by people who are holding the badge, which means the authority to make changes to that space. And these are unofficial guides still. So they're not the official guides, which are these. These are the only ones that are official. This is what we're saying. This is what Seeds is. And it's meant to represent the aggregate opinion and agreement of all Seeds citizens. And if it doesn't represent that and you're a citizen of Seeds and you see a change, say something. Let's make a proposal. Let's evolve this document, right? But everything else within the Seeds knowledge base, they're either open libraries, which means anyone can suggest edits and additions to that, which an example of that is the strategies and playbooks here for DAOs and DOs. So all of the different organizations that are forming within Seeds, we're learning how to organize, how to coordinate. So you can actually click on this real quick. And you can see all the different strategies for how to organize in a decentralized human and how to organize like organisms is the best way to put it. So anyway, authority patterns, who wields power and who, communication strategies, governance strategies, breathing, etc. So you can come in here and see a whole bunch of different, strategies. So, something like the stand-up, for example. It's a very basic strategy, and you can see the structure and examples. So anyone's able to come here and add different strategies as we are learning about them. And this is incredibly important because a lot of groups are in this process right now. So you can come here to either get inspired or please add your wisdom as you're discovering it. There's an unofficial guide from Hypha on how to do a do and how to set one up. There's more open libraries for roles and badges and policies, etc. So this is where we have organizing tools in this section. Up here we have templates and resources for regenerative action. One of the first ones we've put together is the Regenerative Civics Incubator. You might have heard about that, but this is a general template of templates. It's a design for an organization who's making templates for regenerative action. So how to set up a village, how to set up a local food economy, how to set up material libraries and circular economies and Renaissance villages, etc. So these are all about setting up guides and recipes for helping groups who are endeavoring to do this. We also have maps of the regenerative Renaissance ecosystem. Now, right now, we only have one, but we want to have a whole lot more maps as we continue to bring all of our wisdom here. But the first one is just mapping the Seeds alliances. So you can click on this and you can see the latest map of all the different Seeds alliances. If you go there in the up here, I'll just keep running through. Next is regenerative economy tools. So this is all the different economic tools that we're building within Seeds and helping people understand that. So first we start off with an unofficial guide offered by Hypha that talks about what is a regenerative financial system. And then we have a badge governed guide that talks about all the tools that we've actually built. So you can come in here and see the Light Wallet, for example. What does it offer? Links to the code and to the app itself, the passport, what is blockchain and those tools? What are badges? The tools we're building there, evolutionary economic systems with all the different currencies that we have, etc., etc. So this gets into all the different tools, and the main categories of the tools are, I know this is a whole lot, so I'm just going quick. The main categories are actual mobile and web applications, organization and governance tools, economic tools, sense-making tools, decision-making tools, and banking and finance tools. So there's been tools that you've been building. If you've been developing anything within the Seeds ecosystem, it's not present here, please add it. And we can make sure that this is a nice library of all the different tools that we're offering in the Seeds ecosystem. All right, let's go back to our navigation map. This is a new space. It's very experimental, but it's a regenerative cultural practices. So how do we co-create new cultures? So there's a lot of us focused on, personal health, organizational health, and a lot of things that aren't necessarily discussed up here. You can come here and it's another open library where we can start having all the regenerative cultures and practices that we're discovering as we keep going through this process, and we can start mapping them here so that others can learn from our successes. Finally, the last section is the Seeds Commons itself. So you can come here and there's a badge governed guide that introduces the Seeds Commons, what it is, how it works, etc. And then you can come down here and actually see all the active or inactive organizations who are part of the Commons itself. So we have the first 7 Commons here that are all active, and we'll start seeing links to all of their different dues when they get them up. So Hypha's got theirs, so you can click on it and actually see what Hypha's doing. So you can see what we do, a deep dive into Hypha itself, and most importantly, how to contribute to Hypha. So that'll be the case with all the Seeds Commons organizations. So anyone who's showing up here and they want to know, how do I contribute to this movement? They can look at all the different organizations that are part of the Commons, come into them, see how to contribute to that particular organization, what are they actually working on, and get going. All right, so I'm going to try to keep this short. I'm going to end it right here, but this is the basic overview of the Seeds knowledge base. Please give me all your feedback. Let's continue to iterate on this, but I just wanted to get this quick guide out so that we can get going on it. Thanks, guys.